Now's the time to share. It'll be coming up here. So let's start. All right. Welcome back, Universe, to episode 68. First ever 68th episode of Off the Rails with Tom and Mark.
Coming to you from Coldwell Banker Home Sale Realty Studios here in beautiful Grafton, Wisconsin.
And today we have a panel of experts along with Tea Krulos, author of Monster Hunters and Heroes in the Night and Milwaukee Ghost Tours. Hey, T, thanks for coming in today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, what are we going to do today? Before announcements, today we'll talk with Tea Krulos and our panel of experts, Chris Klein and Foz.
Foz of, what the F with Foz?
Yeah.
The now defunct show.
We have not done that. We'll ask about Bigfoot, UFOs, repeating radio signals from space, ghosts in the studio, working with PIMS, Champ, Beast of Bray Road, giant stick bugs in Illinois, and all sorts of cryptids, ghosts, and aliens. So, I guess let's do Roy's announcement. I probably should have done that first. Hey, if you're looking to buy or sell a home or interested in a career in real estate, maybe you want to move to Seattle to find a Bigfoot, or Upper Michigan where T went, email Roy at cbhsr.com, or give him a call, 414-235-0763. They'd love to be your go-to for all your real estate needs. And let's get some announcements out of the way quick. Twisted Dreams Film Festival, April 4th through to 7th. Come meet us. We'll be there. You did a panel for Chris?
Yeah, I moderated a panel for him, not last year, the year before.
Okay.
So
they'll be there. You going to show up to the Twisted Dreams Festival?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to stop in, for sure.
All right, it'd be great. Chris wants some monsters there, some Comic-Con style stuff going on. So Mark and I will be podcasting there daily. We will be judging the film festival. Yay. Come meet Joe Bob Briggs there Saturday night. He'll be doing his How Rednecks Saved Hollywood. Another announcement. We had a weird thing go on with the pictures I sent you. You've never had anything happen like that?
No, it was weird.
All the pictures we took from the ghost tour are ruined.
Really? Are these digital pictures?
Yeah. And we posted them online. They're fine. But now in Molly's phone, they're destroyed.
So you have copies elsewhere. Oh, they just got corrupted in her phone somehow.
Just those.
Okay.
From that night. Which is kind of odd.
That's a little odd.
Do you have a cloud backup, Molly?
No.
No? Okay. Well, great. So, before we get into the interview and your book, we're going to talk some cryptid stuff today. So, we have a 7-foot-tall insect spotted in Illinois. A guy was driving home, and they didn't have the footage. They just showed a picture like that.
On the road.
But he said it was a 7-foot-tall insect. He drew a picture of it. There it is. It looks like a stick bug.
Wow.
And I guess it turned, it looked at him, and then it...
Where in Illinois was this? North, south, Dixon, Chicago.
You always ask the tough questions. St. Jacob, does that help?
I have no idea where St. Jacob is. No. I know Dixon and I know Chicago.
So this would be considered one of the two types of cryptids, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Sounds like it could be something left over from the dinosaur ages.
There was an age when the oxygen was really high in the atmosphere before, plants started using it up, that the insects were really, really large.
Yeah.
So do you think it's possible that maybe some bug egg got left over and this thing just hatched and had like a really short lifespan because it can't breathe?
Yeah, that's not a bad theory.
Yeah?
I mean, mosquitoes can last, 2-3 years, I think, their eggs.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Also, in Illinois, there's been a lot of reports of Mothman being spotted.
Ooh.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the big cryptozoology news story of
What would
2018.
Mothman be considered?
An unknown...
Like paranormal or crypto? Or
there's a lot of theories, actually.
Thunderbird?
People have speculated that it's extraterrestrial, an unknown creature, government experiment gone wrong, some sort of spirit. So
trickster ghost, Native American trickster ghost,
right.
I've read.
Yeah. So lots of different theories on what Mothman is. And possibly a giant moth. I don't know.
Do you have any theories yourself?
I don't. I mean, I think I like the theory of interdimensional beings, which explains things like why no one can ever get evidence of Bigfoot, because he kind of pops in and out between different dimensions. So I kind of like that theory just because it also explains like why no one can ever capture them. So
Okay.
maybe.
The largest moth we have on the world today is the white witch moth, and it's 11.8 inches.
Where does that live? Don't say Wisconsin.
Why do you always want to know where stuff is?
Because I would have known that it's far, far away. I hate moths, by the way.
Moths are all right.
Big, furry, creepy things. No, they're weird.
They're
Furry?
Yeah, moths are
Big furry moths. Go to the museum. They'll have like examples of the creepiest little fur balls ever.
Okay.
You enjoying that popcorn there, Foz? Can you hear that in your headset? Everybody in the world can hear it.
It sounded empty.
All right, one more local event before we get to this interview here. We're getting broadcast radio signals from deep space, and everybody is totally cranked on because it's a lot closer than the last time this happened. So now it is only 1.5 billion light years away, but we're getting repeated signals.
Feels doable.
Feels doable. Last time it was 3 billion light years away,
Yeah.
but we're getting shortwave bursts of radio signals. And it seems kind of weird because, like SETI and the places that are looking for intelligent life, nobody walked by right there?
No.
Okay. Wow, that threw me off. Sorry.
SETI, intelligent
SETI.
life.
SETI, they're the ones that are saying this is probably not aliens. It's exactly what we're looking for, but it's not aliens. So a lot of the comments and people are saying that the government jumped in and did these press reports for them. Any sort of conspiracy you hear about stuff like that?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Well, my first thought would be they're trying to drum up, popular interest to get funding. Because without getting too political, there's a bit of a funding shortage with the government right now.
Okay. Mal, you can hit that. Thanks. All right. Foz, what do you think about that?
I really don't know. I'm not much of an expert.
Thanks for coming, Foz. Everybody's glad to have
But you're
you.
on the panel.
Well, there's plenty of astronomical phenomena like pulsars and whatnot that can create these sort of signals. And they're usually, they're usually looking for what? Great regularity, a repeating pattern
Yes.
that shows some sort of intelligence.
That's what they're finding.
But pulsars tick like a clock, so they can be repetitive as well.
Okay. So these are called fast radio bursts, FRBs. And they're getting a hold of them. So now does that blow anything SETI would ever put out of the water? Because any skeptic can just say, hey, they're FRBs.
Well, they'll investigate everything that comes their way.
How much is going to get through to us?
None.
Oh, yeah, very little.
Us, the common people?
Yeah. Us, the unwashed commoners.
Well, SETI is also international. And don't you think, if the Russians or the North Koreans made contact with aliens, don't you think they'd let everyone know?
No.
no. They keep
Just
Why
to be
would
like,
you?
we're talking to them because we represent the world.
No, because North Korea would be like, thank God you got the king of the planet here. Thank
Exactly.
God you got to us.
Right.
Don't tell everybody else. Just to let you know, we run shit down here. So you're going to want to filter everything right through North
And
Korea.
statistically, Russia's so big, they're the ones most likely to get either a crash landing or receive a signal just by statistical size, a proportion of the planet's surface alone.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, those are the two stories I had. Thanks for listening, guys. All right. Let's get to the interview with Tea Krulos here. The book starts out with you in the world's only cryptozoology museum in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like? Well, let's first explain cryptozoology to everybody.
Sure.
Real quick.
It's cryptozoology is the study of unknown animals. So, if you literally break the word down, it's mystery zoology, pretty
Okay.
much. And like you mentioned, there's considered to be two different types. There's stuff that is not known to science at all. That would be things like a Bigfoot, or a Mothman. And then, which I think is really interesting, there's a study of animals that we think are extinct, but might have survived somehow in
Like
some
a
capacity.
narwhal or a plesiosaur.
Plesiosaur.
narwhals exist,
Yeah.
Tom.
But weren't they thought to be extinct, like the coelacanth?
No, they were mistaken for
Right.
unicorns because the guys would bring back their horns and be like, unicorn's a real dude. I got a horn. So I believe that's their connection to cryptozoology.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So a good example of that too is I'm really excited about this story. The Tasmanian tiger.
Oh yeah,
is
the thylacine.
Was thought to have gone extinct in the 30s, but there's been continuous reports that people have seen it running around in Australia. So I think it's possible that it still survived and that it will be found soon.
We've had this story on that science was trying to clone the Tasmanian tiger. That got out to the public. You remember on our Christmas episode last year with...
Yes, we did talk about that. Yes.
Okay. But they were looking for a host. Now, do you think it was extinct and they did clone it?
I think that it just, Australia there's a lot of places for animals like that to hide out. So I think it's just, it was laying low.
Okay.
Pretty much. And survived extinction.
Do you know how many members of the population would be the minimum for the species to continue by any chance?
16 for human.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
I think it was 13 females and 3 males is what
3
you need.
lucky guys.
Yeah, or something like that to keep it just so the genes don't...
Yeah, genetically diverse enough.
Yeah.
You didn't see the women, though. All right.
Well, should we talk about the chupacabra? Because I think that's one of them that's kind of been dismissed.
Well, you might know about this, that there's basically 2 types of chupacabra.
Yeah, chupacabras come like diabetes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the little... Well, why don't you tell us?
So the story started in Puerto Rico. And that chupacabra was described as being pretty extraterrestrial looking. It was kind of hunched over like a kangaroo almost, had big eyes, row of spine down its backs. It's your classic chupacabra. But when the story moved to the States, people started reporting, which in every case has been pretty much the same, a dog or a coyote with a really bad case of mange.
Okay.
So it looks super weird because you're not used to seeing those animals without hair. So they look really gnarly, but that is a mystery to that. It's just animals with mange. So in my book, I actually have a chapter called The Slaying of the Chupacabra, which sounds very dramatic, like one of them actually got killed. But that chapter is actually about skeptics, and it's about how a skeptic named Benjamin Radford pretty much broke down the entire chupacabra story and traced its origins to one woman in Puerto Rico who had just seen a movie called Species.
All right.
And it seems pretty certain that she just fabricated the story, and then it caught on. There was at that time there's a lot of livestock that were being found with their blood drained, supposedly, and a lot of people tied the story into that. But it was just natural predators that were killing the prey. So unfortunately, I have to say, because I love chupacabras, but I don't think that there's any validity to them actually existing.
I read a little bit about that, and they're saying that mange is starting to become more common because the mite population has grown to where it's starting to devastate them, and mange is a way to fight the mites, much like sickle cell became popular in places where malaria, if you have sickle cell and the malaria doesn't attack you, you'll only live to be 40, but that's long enough to spread your genes, so it's actually an advantage, so you don't die at 7 with malaria. So some of these things are evolution trying to take over that may cause some of these cryptids to be.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I knocked it out.
To go back to the movie, have you heard the theory about Loch Ness and the surgeon's photo? Was taken shortly after the movie King Kong came out, and I think that visual profile is from the Apatosaurus, whatever it was, featured plesiosaur in the movie, because even now scientists don't think that the animals, dinosaurs, held their head that way. So
I always heard that the explanation for the surgeon's photo was someone had taken a toy submarine and made a neck out of...
Yeah, and the shape was pulled from what they saw in King Kong.
Sure, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, pop culture has a real strong influence on a lot of paranormal sightings. Even, you'll see waves of people talking about being abducted by aliens and stuff, and it'll tie in directly to a movie that just came out or something like that. It's a huge influence on our brains.
Do you see a spike in business, say at the ghost tours, after a popular movie comes out?
I don't
Definitely
know.
around Halloween, hey?
Well,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think there's always a pretty consistent interest, but yeah, maybe.
Foz, you got a theory about that picture, that famous one of Nessie?
I do.
Yeah, you always tell me it's a swimmer's arm.
That's what it looks like to me.
It looks like a
It
guy
ain't
swimming.
a theory. It just looks like a guy's got his arm up to
Yeah, I
take
could
a
see that.
stroke.
Theory.
There are multiple photos of it. There's just the one most famous one because
Yeah.
it looks the best.
You went to Lake Champlain
I did,
Yeah.
yes. I spent the weekend
looking for Champ.
cruising around looking for Champ. It was a really interesting group of cryptozoologists, which are people that study cryptozoology. My favorite guy on the trip was this guy named Scott, and this guy was hardcore looking for Champ. So we picked him up, and he had a bag that was open. So I kind of, I'm a curious guy, so I looked into this bag, and here's what he had for his 3-day trip to Lake Champlain: a big bag of rolling tobacco, a pair of binoculars,
Are you sure his name wasn't Foz?
an extra pair of shorts.
And a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
He had two liters of Dr. Pepper and 2 giant bags of barbecue chips, and that's it. There's no
all you
tent,
need.
no towel, nothing.
Plan
And,
on staying for a month.
and sure enough, he was glued to that lake pretty much all weekend,
Wow.
just staring at it through binoculars. So we didn't see Champ, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool, interesting trip. They brought some underwater cameras that we put in the lake, and that was uploaded live,
Okay.
So they put a serious effort into trying to find something.
Didn't you say like the game warden or something you ran into said like, what are you guys doing this? Nothing here.
Oh yeah. He was not a believer. He's like, no, there's no such thing.
Move along. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, an authority figure.
Yeah.
Well, do you find the lake monsters more plausible than other things like Bigfoot?
No, I find them less. I think I'm
That's
more.
a Bigfoot?
Yeah, I think Bigfoot is more likely.
Uh-oh, you just threw down with
I tend to agree. I think
No, I-
Bigfoot's far more plausible
Yeah.
I
than
think
a lake
Bigfoot's
monster.
more plausible.
Well, the
Bigfoot's
lake is a
more
very
plausible.
confined area, and
Yeah, and how much food can they actually have in that lake to feed an animal that big?
Not just an animal,
Well, what
but
about Loch
a
Ness? It's like
population.
A population. of them,
500
right?
miles. Shouldn't that be plenty?
Where?
Like Loch Ness. That's enormous.
They actually claim there ain't a lot of feed in the Loch Ness.
And Lake Champlain's pretty big too. Actually, it's pretty
Okay.
similar to Loch Ness.
Does Lake Champlain have access to the ocean?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. The loch does connect to the ocean through
So
some
maybe they
through
just
some
come in
rivers
there
and
to breed?
streams. Well, they're
That's
like
like the
seals
hip
can come
joint?
and go, but nothing bigger than that without everyone in the world seeing it.
Molly's been to
Right.
Lake Loch Ness.
Wow.
I-
But then again, we don't know the life expectancy of this dinosaur,
Plesiosaur.
if that's what we call it. Yeah.
yeah,
So then,
4 years.
well, I mean, yeah, it could be the last surviving member, but
Right.
there have been photos for over 100 years now. So, what are the odds a creature that size lives for 100 years? And it would be the last one. That would be tragic in and of itself.
Correct.
There's got to be some kind of population of them.
There's still so many large sea creatures that they're still finding that they didn't realize still existed.
The giant squid.
The ocean's another story. There's plenty of room in the
Oh,
ocean.
yeah. I
Have
don't
you
know.
heard about that DNA study that scientists have been using it in Illinois to track the progression of the Asian carp? They can take a sample of the water, run it through DNA tests, and then determine all the species and even, in some cases, the number of individuals in the water. And
Yeah.
they're doing this in Loch Ness right now. They haven't released the results yet.
yeah. I heard, and there's something similar where they can do it in like a forest, take a soil sample, and determine what type of animals live there. It's interesting. That might be the key to finding something like that in the future.
I know some low-hanging fruit. If you want to make a new fish discovery, you just go to the Amazon, to the fish markets. Because there's so many
heard that.
species there that they're just, why am I fish up?
Getting to that market might be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life.
In your life, getting through the drug lord area.
Well,
trying
we were
to get
talking
there
about
safe.
during the World Cup, like some of the stadiums weren't connected by road. It
They're
was-
already swallowed by the earth
Yeah.
now. They're back to Amazon. Brand new soccer stadium. So, all right. So you were talking earlier a little bit about UFO and abduction. you went to a conference in Nevada, was it?
Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
It's all the same area out there. But let's talk about the sleep paralysis versus abduction syndrome.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people, when they think they're being abducted by aliens, they discover that it's just sleep paralysis, or what's sometimes called night terrors, too. It's where you have a very, your body kind of freezes up, but your brain is still working, and you're in a dreamlike state, so you're creating all sorts of strange stuff in your own mind.
Seems odd that everybody would kind of have the same dream, though.
I think, again, talking about pop culture,
And the fear
that has a lot of influence on it,
Yeah, you don't really hear about the alien abductions until after what was it, Benny Hill or Bonnie Hill?
Betty and
Barney Hill.
Betty and Barney Hill.
Well, there was the succubus in medieval times that was sneaking into your room and sitting on your chest and stealing your soul. Now
Okay.
it's aliens.
Yeah. I'm not saying, there might, people might actually be getting abducted. I don't know. But that is an explanation for it. And in the pop culture, I mean, if I ask you to draw a UFO, pretty much everyone's going to draw the same thing because we've seen so many UFOs in TV shows and movies and stuff that everyone knows what one looks like. So I think that's where a lot of the stuff gets created. But like I said, I don't know.
So would you find a claim more valid if it was completely original?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You and Foz do have something in common. You guys both saw UFOs, right?
Yes, I did see a UFO, so that definitely changed my perspective a little bit. So you want to hear that story?
Yeah, let's hear
Sure,
it.
and then we'll
Okay.
compare it to my dad's, because I know my dad's story here.
Okay, so I was working on Monster Hunters and decided that I really wanted to go on a Bigfoot expedition. That was kind of, before I even began the book, I had this wish list of different stuff I wanted to do. I wanted to go to a UFO conference, I wanted to meet the world's leading expert in cryptozoology, which I did. I wanted to hang out with a local team that I could join over and over again to go on some ghost investigations. And that, of course, ended up being Paranormal Investigators of Milwaukee, who have been on the show before. And I really wanted to do a Bigfoot hunt. So I got Lauren Coleman, who's a cryptozoology expert that I wrote about quite a bit in the book. He led me in the direction of a guy named Jim Sherman. Really, really cool guy. And I was especially attracted to writing about him because he's such a normal guy, right? He's a high school teacher. He's a track coach. Really smart, seemingly normal guy. But he has this odd hobby where he goes and does Bigfoot investigations. So I contacted him and he was like, yeah, there's this really interesting spot in the middle of Michigan, which he called Isabella because there's not even a town near this place. It's just in Isabella County. So we arranged it. I went out there. We set up camp. We were doing some Bigfooting for a couple days, heard some kind of weird stuff in the woods, but nothing mind-blowing or whatever. So the last night we're there, I'm like, well, this was interesting, but it wasn't very eventful. So I get in my tent, and I'm just about to fall asleep when there's a blood-curdling howl that seems like it's right next to my tent. And I was really, really frightened. I couldn't move. I didn't know what to do. So I just was frozen in my sleeping bag. And then I eventually got out and I ran over to Jim's Jeep where he was sitting. And we're like, did you hear that? Yeah. What was it? So, what we discovered was what we probably heard was just a coyote that was annoyed that we were in its territory or whatever. But that's not the crazy thing that happened. So we're sitting in his Jeep, and I look out the window, and I'm like, oh, man, I must be really scared because I'm looking, and the star is, shaking. I must be shaking or something. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's not me moving. It's this thing in the sky. And it was this giant ball of light, and it would kind of zip really quickly in one spot and kind of hover and bounce a little bit, and it would zip over here. And once in a while, there was a light that came from it that illuminated the entire tree line. So me and Jim got out of the Jeep. We're watching it through binoculars. He did shoot some video footage of it, and I kind of got to understand the frustration because his video footage doesn't really do it justice. It's blurry. It was hard to focus on. Doesn't look very impressive. But watching it in person, it was just, I've never seen anything like it. And I'm not claiming necessarily that this is the alien mothership that I saw, but I have no idea what it could be. And people have tried to explain it to me and say, oh, someone flying their drone at 3 a.m. It's like, no, it didn't move like a drone. It didn't move like a helicopter. It was unlike anything I've ever seen, and I don't know what could have caused that type
Was
of
that Upper
movement.
Michigan or regular Michigan?
No, it was regular Michigan.
Where was it, Mark?
Was it here or was it?
Isabella is about close to dead center of the state.
Okay.
So,
All right, Foz, what'd you see? He showed you his.
This happened, geez, it had to be 66, 67, right? And we were sleeping out. We were sleeping outside, as kids.
Yeah.
On lawn chairs, just camping out. And it must have been 2 a.m. And back then in Milwaukee, you could see pretty good. There wasn't a lot of lights. So
Sure.
we lived
you were
on the
remote
edge of town.
camping then?
In 67, if you wanted to sleep with your buddy, you had to go into the middle of the field.
No, you didn't. You just went in the basement. But anyways, it's kind of hard to explain. There was a little field, and we used to screw around out there all the time, and whatever we did, we did.
It's
We
done.
don't
Move
let
on.
that out.
It's done.
Anyways, you could see over these houses, right? It's got to be 2 a.m. Stars are everywhere. And 4 things came up over, it's kind of like the horizon almost. Came above the houses. Now, these things were out mixed in the stars. They weren't in our atmosphere or nothing. But if you remember the diamond, how the Blue Angels fly, or these things, 4 of these things, they were about as big as softballs. And they came up over the horizon, kind of straight up. And it got to be, maybe they were at 12 o'clock right above us. And they were gone. Now, my buddy's we used to sleep on the lawn chairs. So he's next to me over there, and I said, did you see that? And his words to me were, I was hoping you didn't. That's the end of the story.
Right.
We went actually to his house and woke up his mom and his grandma, and they actually called Mitchell Field to see if anything, they didn't tell us anything, but they were weird. That's all I could tell you. I don't know what the hell they were.
That's why they're unexplained. Nobody ever pulls up with a spaceship, and you got it now.
Oh yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, what's his name, did? Valiant Thor
I
pulled
got
up with
that
a
on
spaceship.
here. I was
you got
going to
Valiant
get
Thor
the
there?
Valiant Thor. And have you heard of Valiant Thor?
no.
You guys, go ahead. I brought a panel. We always
This is more of a government conspiracy, in my opinion, than an alien conspiracy.
it is.
A little bit. Yeah, Valiant Thor. I think Foz can relate to this a little bit better.
Yeah, probably. But
Go ahead.
back in the 50s, Eisenhower was president.
Got it up
Supposedly, I forget what state it was in, Maryland or whatever the
He's
hell.
handsome looking.
Tom's got it on the TV. Anyways, he lands his spaceship in a field. 2 county cops come. He says, I got to meet the president, goes through the whole standard, They actually take this guy to see Eisenhower. Now, supposedly, they gave him VIP status at the White House for 4 years. His claim was he wanted us to join like their federation. This actually boiled down to, it was almost like Star Trek. The federation and all this stuff. We're supposed to join these planets and stuff. Eisenhower actually turned them down. And Eisenhower's, everybody said it's all bullshit.
Fuck that.
Eisenhower's granddaughter claims she remembers playing with him as a kid in the White House. But he did land his ship right there.
Yeah, we're teamed up with the Greys, and we're
Yeah,
Valiant Thor said
we're with the wrong
that's
ones.
no good.
we claimed, we picked the wrong ones to team up with.
Wow, I know a lot of conspiracy theories, and I did not know that one.
Yeah.
So
I asked my parents about it, if they remembered anything about it.
Sure.
And the weirdest thing to me is when I talk to them about it, it like sparks their memory. They remember hearing about it when they were kids.
He's a Venetian that lived at the Pentagon.
They asked him one time, he was from Venus. And they asked him, how do you live on Venus? And he said, we don't live on Venus, we live in it.
oh.
It's pretty cool to
So
read
Tom,
all about that.
you have an article and a photo here. Does the article state who the person in the photo was claiming to be or who it's believed to be if it's a cover story?
No, he kind of just looks like some Hitler youth that grew up, doesn't he?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got
Aryan.
blonde hair and blue eyes.
eyes and a
He
chin that
doesn't
could
have
take
a
a punch.
swastika on his arm or anything.
Well, he marched right up to the White House and said, I'm coming in.
And he was there supposedly 4 years.
There is another kind of story here that said he was trying to spread the religion of the universe, but to us being heathens as humans with the God and everything that everybody believes, he's like, well, you guys are way off.
You guys got some shit to work through.
Here's what Valiant Thor believes. But yeah, I guess Eisenhower's granddaughter played with him. And
Yeah.
there's a lot to this guy.
How do you turn down an alien when he comes knocking on your door?
So
Right.
do you suspect this is a cover-up or is this a Mandela effect?
I have no clue.
Okay.
No clue. I can't get enough information on it to start
And at
with.
that whole conference, you never heard anything about Valiant Thor.
No.
Foz
Never
was
heard
the
of
first time I heard about it, too.
Yeah? Well, Thor was his favorite superhero.
I hate to admit it, but I got it off of Ancient Aliens. They're the ones that had a show on it.
Oh, wow. So,
There always seems to be just enough information to keep you interested, and then anything
they're not
valid,
giving you any.
that you're done.
Oh, what do we got here, Mo?
I was just going to say your mom commented and it made me laugh. She's referring, I'm guessing, to the original story that Foz told. She says, he told me this in 1970 when we were dating, but I didn't know he had buddy sleepovers at the time.
That was Buzzy, not Buddies.
So, T, are you a big fan of Ancient Aliens, the program?
I've seen it a few times. It's definitely an interesting show. I haven't watched it more just because, I don't know, I haven't had
Unlike
time.
Foz, I remain unconvinced by most of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, they spin the show so it's interesting.
It is all about ratings at the end
Right.
of the day.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
All the
most of
shows are like that. I go by what I seen in 67.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have that shit. Whatever I saw wasn't from this planet. So that kind of sets my boundaries right there. There's something out there.
Oh, yeah.
We just ain't the only ones.
A lot of it seems scary feasible, though. I mean,
About aliens landing?
it's just about all of it. I can get behind it.
Well, when you look at human behavior, yeah, sure, we'll land on the shore of any half as culturally sophisticated as us society and just start waving our dicks around. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone was doing that somewhere.
Well, what do we do when we find the new species?
Kill it.
We kill it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that
Study it.
moves into our little Bigfoot.
Yeah, but
Cut it open, see what makes it tick.
Right.
well, that's how they were like 100 years ago. Scientists are much more passive now, and they don't want to interfere. To the point where I suspect that all UFOs that we do see is probably the cheap nickel tourist guy who's taking people around the block and his car breaks down, and that's what Roswell was, versus aliens actually, the A-team actually having a crash.
That's one of the things that get me. These aliens come 1 billion miles to see us, and then they get a flat tire.
Yeah,
How's that work?
because that's
I
the
don't
cheap
get it.
guy.
It's like they said, here, it's like, look at this for a while or something. I don't know. I wouldn't expect their spaceship to break down or
we
run out
shot
of
it down.
gas.
Yeah. It could be a diversion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
T, what do you think of Roswell?
yeah.
It's a very interesting case. There's actually not a lot of people might know this, but one of the leading experts on Roswell's name is Don Schmidt, and he lives here in Wisconsin.
Okay.
But he's written, I don't know, at least 5 books about Roswell.
Really, what could be in that fifth book that you didn't get on the first floor?
Well,
maybe he interviewed someone else, a different nurse.
He's interviewed like hundreds of people. I think it's a very interesting case. I'm not, but then, the explanation, which I forget the name of the project, of the weather balloon, actually at first
was that
seemed...
Project Blue Book?
No, it wasn't part of Project Blue Book.
No,
there was a program that they had where they made these weather balloons. And at first the explanation seemed pretty ridiculous. But then when a lot of the details came out, like they used a sort of novelty tape because it was really cheap. And that tape had like strange hieroglyphics on it. So actually in that case, the weather balloon theory seemed to develop more and more credibility. So I don't know for sure. It's such a classic case. I actually went to Roswell, and I went to the Roswell Museum.
I was just there last year.
Oh, yeah. Actually, this was a long time ago. I was probably in my early 20s. So not when I was working on this book, but just for fun, when I was 20-something.
Did you go by the mailbox? Area 50.
That's in Nevada?
Yes, I actually have been by that. It's a different story, but I was hanging out.
Same thing.
Area 51 and Roswell are totally different.
Yeah, they're pretty far apart.
It's a desert. I can
It's
see
a big
Area
desert.
51
I drove
from
2
Roswell.
hours to
There's nothing in the
Roswell
way.
from Albuquerque a couple of months
Could've
ago.
watched
That is
you
a
the whole
long,
way.
boring drive, sir.
A lot of sand, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a part of me thinks that if you play the role of the government for a minute and you're trying to cover up your fancy balloon technology, I would feed the idea of the alien cover-up because there are so many people out there who just want to believe that that's a way better cover-up than anything you as the government stooge could come up with.
Right.
So it's almost the perfect cover-up.
Well, we did have Japanese bombs hit the Pacific Northwest from balloons in World War II.
Yes.
There you go.
That they could have been, hey, if they're actually hitting us with these bombs, maybe we should, just throw some money at this and see what happens. Because the wind goes around the world.
Was there like one
hit?
that actually landed in the
They
mainland?
did like 10,000 bombs, and I think
Yeah.
4 of them landed or something.
Yeah. That was like spreading those fire lanterns we see all the time at like music festivals. Like, where's that going to land? Who knows?
Who knows? It's not I don't know how that's legal. Just an unmanned, unpiloted ball of fire.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Bigfoot. That's what these guys are really hard up for.
Yeah.
You shooting it?
I'm no kill. So
No kill?
there's in the Bigfoot
Yeah, there's
community. One of the things I love. So all my books are really social study books,
Okay.
and I'm just kind of fascinated by groups of people that think a little bit differently than other people. And one of the things I love is learning lingo. Like, if you're down to be in the Bigfoot community, you've got to know the lingo. You've got to know the talking points.
If you want to go
and stuff like that.
squatching.
Right. So, a big thing is the philosophy of pro-kill versus no-kill. So pro-kill says that you need to shoot a Bigfoot.
Prove it.
For the greater good, yes. If you shoot one, then you can
have
prove that it exists.
And protect it.
And it can be protected and stuff like that. No-kill says, no way am I going to shoot a Bigfoot. That's terrible. So
I just think its head would look great next to my deer head.
Yeah, but
the mount.
The odds are just as high. It's
Yeah.
someone in a costume fucking with you.
Because they're going to let you mount it.
right.
I don't know which way I go on a pro kill or no kill, whatever.
Yeah.
But you got to have a body, or nobody's ever going to believe a picture.
Well, the
Well-
body doesn't have to be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, you could track it and you
They
could figure out where its
They don't
den
sell a
is.
leash for them.
Right.
No, but once you know where it's nesting or whatever,
You
you
get
could
a
set up
Bigfoot
a
at
trail
large
cam
ticket there,
there,
Mark.
and you could
Trail
regularly.
cams don't work.
Now with Bigfoots.
With all the trail cams that are out there, there's probably 3 people in the room that got trail cams here. I know I got one. How many you got? 8?
5 or 6.
Yeah.
There we go.
They don't work. I don't know why they don't work. Maybe,
Work for
maybe
deer
it ain't there.
hunting or for
For
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
for Bigfoot?
The
They work.
picture's not going to work.
Are they useful for hunting deer?
Sure.
Yeah, they show up.
Okay.
Go, hey, here we are.
First of all, the odds of having that trail camera where a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, is going to walk past. That's a huge odds. I mean, you can go on and on about, people don't see him. Well, is there one? No, there's more than one. I'm in the theory that it's an animal. The more I read, the more I do some research, it could be alien. It could be, but I believe
It's down the rabbit hole with this.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I keep going back. I don't know if you agree, but a lot of media, there's a lot of hoaxes, and it's muddy in the waters for the Bigfoot. I'm classic Bigfoot. I don't want to say I'm a total heavy believer, but if you look at the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film, 1967, you could not fake that.
I disagree.
How about a guy who was going into the woods to make a Bigfoot movie?
That's true.
Has Bigfoot
The
footage.
guy who's reported to already have the costume.
But that costume's heavy.
So?
He's got horses.
Okay, but he's wearing it. That costume, if what I've read that it was a hoax. It's at least 150 pounds. Now I'll challenge anyone to put a backpack on themselves. Put half of that. Put 75 pounds in your backpack and walk in the area where this was filmed. I've studied this film over and over and over and over, and I've watched it, and I've watched some of the ones that were 100 times copied, and you can see different things that it really isn't.
It is the
there.
most impressive footage.
It's
I've
very
seen.
impressive. As it walks, it at one point, the classic turning the head, that I forget what frame that is, 136 or whatever.
I don't know.
Right.
136.
Whatever.
Yeah, frame 136.
Yeah.
Out of the park.
If you look at it, it falls into a depression. This leg shudders, and the whole body shudders. In a suit, you're not getting that.
Especially in 1967.
In 1967, the technology wasn't there. The one thing that blew me away was I never noticed it until it was pointed out to me that it has breasts.
Mm-hmm.
In 1967, and I hope we don't get no bad emails on us. It was a male-dominated world.
Yeah.
You okay?
Ryan.
Okay. So you're not. If all of us here said, "Let's make a suit," let's make a Bigfoot suit. Who in here in this day and age is going? Let's put boobs on it.
Yeah.
You don't want to put boobs.
Well, I say
it'd be
that
fun.
I have seen several vintage movies of the era where the plot line is family comes across wounded baby Bigfoot. Mama comes looking for it.
Yes.
So I have seen that. I've seen that movie a dozen times.
Right.
So there's the reason right there why it has nice big boobies. And by the way, chimpanzees don't have perpetual breasts. Monkeys, primates in general don't have perpetual breasts.
Right.
Only humans have that.
Well, see, and now we get into a whole nother topic of that.
That's why every time there's a sample, it comes up human. That's because they are part human.
Could be.
That's got to be what it is.
But so if you have a guy out there walking in a 150-pound suit, padding, falls into a depression. That frame 136 where it's looking, it falls into that depression. The body shudders. It never breaks stride. It never any human being.
You can't
Method.
look at that and tell me that's
Method acting.
Any human being
Do not break character.
would have looked at its feet when it stumbled, even without the weight on its body.
All right, I'm going to ruin this footage for
Unless it can't see, period.
You're never going to be able to unsee this. This is what I see. Here is this guy just got caught masturbating, and he went, "What the fuck are you guys doing
Wasn't
here?
doing anything.
Jesus Christ!
Wasn't doing
Didn't
anything.
expect you out here. See you later." That's what I see.
Even though it has titties.
Right.
Well, that was the guy's thing. He wanted.
I understand.
I'm not going to masturbate in a Bigfoot costume and not have tits.
So it's some sort of Bigfoot fetish where you dress up as a female Bigfoot, go out in the woods and pleasure yourself.
And he didn't think anybody was going to catch him. There, what?
I don't think he realized what kind of podcast he was coming on.
Okay, see, you do see the breasts there on the Bigfoot.
Yes, you do. And they move.
Especially this footage, I would say this and the Zapruder Kennedy.
film. Yeah.
Those are the two most analyzed pieces of film in human history, I'd be willing to wager.
Oh, yeah.
So there's versions of this film where you can see where they've really enhanced it, and you can see a lot of the details a lot clearer.
Now she's just showing off.
Yeah.
It was I kept rewinding it, so it was like moonwalking.
Yeah. Well, they're enhancing
this
it.
is the one they're going to show.
That's a
the
motion
thigh.
stabilized.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody goes this part on the thigh where they're going to blow up the thigh here and show you like it cramped or something.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that's a cramp. I think he got shot.
Oh, right there.
I've even seen, on a lot of shows, not Ancient Aliens, but shows similar to it. I've seen this footage. There's one where they even made like an entire 3D model of like the entire forest area. They've done it where they've had actors have motion capture things on them to see if it moved like a human. And from what I remember from that one, they couldn't match it. So
the thigh bones were out of proportion. The knees.
Right.
Well, we don't have any sense of scale. We have what they claim, but that could be a 6 foot tall person. It could be a 5 foot tall person. It could be a lanky teenager.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I do believe in Bigfoot, but I don't believe in that footage.
really,
I believe in the plausibility of some sort of great ape being out there yet undiscovered. There is the idea of multidimensional species. Science says there are more dimensions. It is plausible, as crazy as it sounds.
I tend to believe it just because of the amount of eyewitnesses who, I just don't. I think some people do make stuff up, definitely. Like you were saying, a huge problem is hoaxes.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah,
really,
they do have a guy that he goes out with the Bigfoot stuff strapped to his feet.
Yep.
Oh,
And
yeah,
there-
yeah.
He called out people that were confirming some theory that they were nomadic because I found the same cast 200 miles away, and the guy's like, "This one?" Like, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why are people doing that? Are they just like bullying the people that actually believe in Bigfoot? Like, you guys are idiots. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
I
out
mean,
here and
just-
trounce
Trying to
around.
spread belief.
Well, tourist
Right.
dollars,
I
one
don't
thing.
know.
Well, this
Yeah.
guy just that's what he did on the weekends. He put his Bigfoot
Right,
slippers
exactly.
on and went out.
I was gonna say, before the internet, I think people had to entertain themselves.
Yeah.
So some of them,
Before kitten
Well,
videos
the-
on
I'll
YouTube.
show them. I'll make them all believe. Look at
Right.
this.
right?
Yeah.
You heard there was a story on one of those TV shows about a guy that had eyewitness, and he had tracks all over, and he was actually like communicating with a Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, we could hear the
That one
Bigfoot
was
talking
interesting.
that he was talking to.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
It
That
was just interesting.
It was.
I don't know how believable that one is. but
Right.
It
Yeah,
was an
I mean,
interesting story.
and some people are just straight up crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
explanation. Sometimes
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
hallucinating.
He's like, this Bigfoot's my friend. Every time I come to this cabin,
He'll
it'll-
leave the red marble over here.
Yeah, it'll show
Right.
up and
Yeah.
it'll,
They bring him,
And he could-
pies.
He could
can't
literally
ever get
have
footage
split
because
personality and be doing that and
cameras
not remember
disappear.
doing it.
Oh, yeah, you watched Fight Club recently, haven't you?
No, it was on something else that I saw. I watch so many 5-minute YouTube videos nowadays. I forget where I pick up this random shit.
Yeah, I mean, so when I was
Stop doing
working,
that.
when I was in Michigan, working on the book, me and Jim visited a guy at his trailer, because he, wanted to report his Sasquatch sightings. I mean, the guy, I obviously needed to be on medication or something.
Yeah.
He was taking us outside. And he was like, "You see, there's a footprint right here," and there's nothing on the ground.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, this guy.
So almost
needs-
like pareidolia, he's pulling what he
right?
wants to
Yeah,
see out of
exactly.
Yeah.
out of the randomness of nature.
Again,
Yeah.
we're here with Tea Krulos, author of Monster Hunters here. You talked to Matt Moneymaker from Finding Bigfoot
Oh, here we
before
go.
you went in there, and I really can't stand this guy because
Because
He
his
will
last
just-
name is Moneymaker?
that's another thing. I'm surprised the guy who shot that Bigfoot wasn't named Moneymaker. But he just says things as plain as day fact. Like, this is what they do.
Yeah.
Well, we don't even know if they exist. How do you know exactly
Their
what...
behavior patterns.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
yeah. I
Bigfoot
remember.
can make their eyes glow. Didn't you know that?
Yes. Yeah. I actually
Yeah.
mentioned that in the book.
In the book,
that-
yeah.
Yeah, I read that.
He just stated as a fact that Bigfoot
how do
can
you
make
know
their
that's
eyes
a
glow. I was like, where does this knowledge come from? I talked to him very briefly. He was polite but very short with me. And he did not want to talk to me himself.
Because you're an investigative reporter.
Yeah, I mean,
And he's a full of shit Bigfoot.
It's a fraud.
That's basically it.
it's always kind of a challenge when I'm working on these books because people know what they're doing is strange and they don't want to be made fun of.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to explain that that's not my goal. I mean, sometimes it happens naturally because they're a ridiculous person. But
So you try to maintain impartiality when even talking to someone you totally don't believe?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So anyway, we had a very short conversation by email. But Jim, who I did meet in Michigan, is part of BFRO, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, which is a show represented on Finding Bigfoot. And they're the biggest organization of that sort. They have chapters in every state. There is one here in Wisconsin, too, actually.
I'm not a big fan of them just because they tend not to release their findings publicly. They tend to hide. If they have something, they tend to hide it.
I think they have reports on their website, but I think that you're right in that there's like public reports.
Yeah.
And then there's reports that they keep.
Internal stuff.
Yes, right.
Got to be part of the group.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it makes me think it's more of like a paywall type thing. Where, if you become a donor, well,
Yeah,
give
you
the
were
real
talking about that
reports.
on other tours, investigation, in the paranormal stuff. It was like, we could do this, but if you got the silver package, but you don't want the silver package.
yeah,
you
yeah.
want the
you got the
gold.
premium package.
Yeah, that's the type. This is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Satanist cults or something you were talking about. We're charging the
Oh,
demon possession
Yes, right.
cults.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
they were.
yes.
In your book, Monster Hunters, you're talking about the demon. You
Exorcist,
basically
yeah.
concluded that this is either fake or these guys are getting possessed at an alarming rate.
Oh, I forget. You know, I wrote this book and I always forget about that chapter that I wrote. Yeah. But I'm still on Bob Larson's newsletter list.
Okay.
So I'm reminded every once in a while. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
So for this chapter of this book, Bob Larson is a guy who travels around and he exorcises people's demons. And if you ever see his YouTube videos of this, he has a YouTube channel.
He takes videos of his exorcisms?
Yes, it's absolutely insane. He'll hit people with a Bible, hit him in the forehead sometimes, and they start speaking in tongues and like growling and like saying weird stuff. And I tried to contact him over and over again to interview him, and he did not respond at all. So he came to Chicago, and I went to one of his exorcism things. He does them in like hotel.
Was it like a seminar or was it like a live exorcism?
Yeah, no, they're all, he gets up and he talks for a little bit and then he gets into it. He's like, all right, who feels like they have demons here? And people start coming up.
Yeah, I'm game. Yeah.
And he starts, like, I just remember being so freaked out. I'm sitting in the audience and like, he's like trying to challenge demons. And all of a sudden, like people sitting around me start talking in tongues and I was like, whoa, this is getting pretty intense in here.
There's the mob mentality. There may be some plants in the
some
group.
Confederates, they call them in the psychology world.
That's something I was trying to figure out. I was like
beating on this woman.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, these have got to be plants. Like they're actors, and this was all staged. But what I think actually is that people are having, they're just at a point in their life where everything is terrible.
Could be.
And they believe that it's being caused by a demon. Yeah. And then they see this behavior and it's learned behavior. They're like, okay, this is what I need to do to get better.
At the very least, it'd be some sort of placebo effect.
Right.
Where they think they are cured, therefore they are cured.
Right.
I am thinking hypnosis with the way he's doing
stuff. And I mean, it's something like, primal therapy where you scream. It feels good, you scream, you get your aggression out, you hit a punching bag or whatever. So it's kind of like that, they are feeling better.
That's hypnosis right there. They always like either pull on your arm or hit your shoulder or grab your head and tuck you down. That's exactly what he's doing with the cross.
All the while he's holding a microphone.
Yeah. And he's such a ham.
Warning number one.
He's just such a ham. I mean, he really gets into his character of the Exorcist.
But does he actually help people?
No, he charges money.
Oh, he makes tons of money doing it.
He does. But
he's a millionaire. I mean, he and this is what led to it was, there's different levels you can pay for. You can buy a special
once
demon
money starts
defensive
changing
cross that
hands.
costs $150, and he writes a book every 6 months, so people are buying his books. They're paying. He does exorcisms by Skype, which I think is very interesting.
Oh
you
my
can
gosh.
pay to Skype in.
We
and
had
get
God.
exercise.
we had the tarot lady in here, and she does readings over the phone.
Wow.
So proximity might not be a huge deal, especially if it's, as stated before, a placebo effect. Someone just wants a therapy cleansing.
Yeah, but an exorcism.
And I remember in Chicago, he was like, we really need to raise this money because, we need to fund something or other. He was really, it doesn't cost anything to go to the exorcism, but he presses you hard to buy his books, to buy his crosses, to make donations. So, it's a lucrative business for him, I think.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to that guy selling pots and pans at the back room in the hotel.
Right.
You're not leaving without something.
Right.
Well, I get cynical whenever, there's money changing hands. It's one thing if some sort of man of the cloth will for free come over and read some verses. I'm far more receptive to that than I am to someone saying, hey, for a couple $100, I'll come over and I'll slap you with the Bible and have my goons grab you by the elbows and shake you when I hit you.
Right.
I didn't expect a ginger to be
like,
I forgot
paid
this
for
too.
this?
You can pay $10 and you can take a demon test on his website, which is multiple choice questions. I was like, I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail this for sure. But I passed. I was
passed?
really
You didn't-
surprised.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking
like, there's
100%
no way I'm
fail every
passing
time,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Auto
right.
fail.
No?
So you're demon free.
Demon free according to that test.
Well, isn't that exactly how a demon would fill it out?
Yeah, I guess.
You need it
He's
more
trying
than
to-
anybody.
Filter out the skeptics.
Demon wants to stay in there. He
I
knows
don't
all
know.
the right answers.
I can't remember. The questions were real.
So now she's crying and happy.
real
Get
weird.
out of here. Give me your credit card number.
If it's hypnosis, you've got to be open to
yeah.
the hypnosis or the whatever.
Oh yeah,
open
you gotta
to it
believe.
for it to work.
It's hypnosis.
Yeah.
Moving along.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Where else are we going with this one? I stapled these in the wrong order just in case you guys wonder.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Our bell died. 72.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame.
Wow.
When did that happen?
I kind of just picked it up when I was going through some new stuff. All right. Don't you mean where did that happen?
Well, he was living in Guam last I heard.
Yeah.
I used to listen to Coast to Coast all the time when I was
Was he in
younger.
Guam or was he in the extremely weird desert town of Pahrump, Nevada?
Oh,
Which
man.
is where his
bunker?
Yeah, his studio was in a cave on his property in Pahrump.
Oh, it looks like Pahrump, Nevada. April
Yep.
13th.
Oh, okay.
I'm working on a book about a conspiracy theorist that lives in Pahrump, and I went to visit him. And it's a weird cast of characters in this kind of small desert town. Like Heidi Fleiss, the Hollywood madam, lives there.
Wow.
Dude from
She's got like 10,000 parrots.
right.
It's insane.
Nice.
One of the guys who founded Apple. So this guy helped found Apple, and then he sold his like share of the company for like $10,000 or something.
Wow.
And I bet he really regrets doing that
Yeah.
because now he lives in a trailer in Pahrump and he sells antique coins. So
He's doing what he loves.
yeah, I mean maybe, but it's a real strange. So we pulled up to this conspiracy theorist's house, and I was like, "What are your neighbors like here?" He was like, "Well, across the street, there's a father and son live there. They're both widowers." And then next door, this guy, you ever hear of the Misfits? I was like, yeah, the punk band?
The band.
He's
Yeah.
like, well, he used to be their chiropractor. I was like,
Okay.
That's
What?
random.
I got to talk to him.
Only the like, were you there? Did you travel with them?
Hey, once you land the Misfits.
I was like, this is even weirder than I thought.
Yeah. I could crack your back, but I could give you the silver package back cracking. But you're going to want the gold. You're the misfit. All right. So I got some more questions a little bit later about UFOs and Bigfoots and stuff, if you don't mind sticking around for a little bonus episode here.
Sure.
Sure. So let's plug what you got going on here. We got your ghost tours. Where can we find them?
Milwaukee Ghost Walks is the name of the company, and you can find us on Facebook and online. I forget what the web address is, actually.
I found you through Gothic Milwaukee.
Me?
Yeah. That's where we paid for. It was on Facebook, but I think Anna Lardnoy was advertising.
Or maybe
for
it was
you.
an event that was on their page.
An event that was
they
on
might
their
have shared
page.
it.
They shared.
I was on. She has a show on River West Radio.
Yes.
So I've been on her show a couple times.
Okay.
Her tour group, Gothic Milwaukee, is not associated
With you.
Milwaukee Ghost Walks.
Okay. So.
But I mean, I know Anna. I think Anna's great.
So we'll get into some ghosts in a little bit here. We had some little paranormal happening. We'll talk about my Mothman experience. I got some more Bigfoot questions I found out of order that we got to get to. And, yeah, thanks for stopping in, dude. We appreciate it. And then in the bonus episode, I want to talk about this book you gave me here called Heroes in the Night. We will definitely put that on the shelf here. So,
Cool.
Thanks. Mark, where can they find us here?
We are Off the Rails with Tom and Mark, and you can find us on Twitter at Off the Rails TM, on Facebook, facebook.com/OffTheRailsTM. Tom is on Instagram at Off the Rails TM. Our website, offtherailstm.com. You want to email us with suggestions or leads or whatever, offtherailstm@gmail.com.
You want to tell us what you think about the original Bigfoot footage?
Yeah, let us know.
Is it real? Is
Send
it
us-
not?
Yeah.
My Uncle Chris will fight you.
It's real. It's real.
So we are on SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, whole bunch of places. Visit our website for more details.
All right. Thank you very much, guys, for coming. And remember, universe, we're not good enough for
And
you.
support the show on Patreon.
Oh, fuck. I always forget to do that.